Welcome to AM Connections with Penny Armini, and my guest this morning is Mark Winchell from the Ashtabula County Convention and Visitors Bureau.
Good morning.
Good morning. And he's just loving this weather, this nice crisp winter weather in Ashtabula County.
It allows me to grow the winter foliage, so I like a good beard, and this makes it more appropriate in the winter time.
Absolutely, so, you can justify it.
Absolutely.
Yep. And there's a lot going on. There's a new brochure out for the new season. I'm on the board of ACCVD.
Officially one of my bosses, yes, by all means.
Yeah. So he had to be here today.
Yes.
Pressure. But there's a lot going on, and tourism is a growing industry, and really in our neck of the woods, and I say this all the time, if you grow up in an area, you get blinded to the beauty of the area, or you get blinded to what's there, because it's just like walking down the stairs every day and that shoe sits there and you walk past it every day and you don't pay attention to it.
Absolutely.
And then when you want the shoe, you can't find it. So it's the exact same thing, I think, when you grow up in an area, is that you go by all the things that attract people every day and what your area has to offer. And it's Mark's job to point out all those things.
Absolutely.
From the eyes of someone coming in. And I know personally people that I know, that family members and friends that come to this area that are awed. They're awed by our lake, they're awed by our vineyards, they're awed by the things that there is to do here, the uniqueness of the area. And there's a lot of things happening, and a lot of it's been captured in that brochure.
Absolutely. Well, you don't need to touch on that point, Penny. It's interesting. We have this stat, and if anybody's ever heard me speak about tourism in Ashtabula County, I use this anecdote a lot, but 7 out of 10 people that live in Orlando have never been to Disney World. And we think, obviously, coming from Northeast Ohio, we make it to Florida, we're making it to Disney. It's that iconic stop. And really what makes it unique is because 7 out of 10 people that live in that community have never been to the largest attraction in that community. It's very similar for us. We talk about driving down the lake, and how often have we driven down 531 or Lake Road and not looked to the north? How often do we cross Middle Road Covered Bridge or any of our wonderful covered bridges and say, it's just a point A to point B, and we didn't really consider the journey in between. But we have folks traveling from all over the country to see those bridges and to see our lake and to visit our wineries, so it's definitely a good piece of our product.
I have a story to go with that.
Sure.
I grew up in Buffalo, and of course Niagara Falls is right there.
Perfect example.
And we could go to Niagara Falls whenever we wanted to. I mean, I as a young woman, rode my bike over the Peace Bridge and rode my bike to Niagara Falls. So, I mean, it was just something you went, you didn't even give it a thought. And when people would say, oh, we're coming up to go to Niagara Falls, my dad would look at him and say, it's water going over a cliff. But it's one of the wonders of the world, but absolutely. Because it was in our backyard, and we were so used to it.
It definitely is. And our community has a lot of that. We talk about, Ashtabula County, obviously, and the things that we promote here in the county, and then talk about Conneaut as really being a microcosm of all of those things. And we promote wineries, which we have in Conneaut.
Yes.
We promote covered bridges, which we have in Conneaut. We promote lake area beaches, which we have in Conneaut. Rural charm, heritage, scenic rivers, steelhead fishing, all of those things we promote for the entire county reside within Conneaut's borders. So really, Conneaut's a very unique community, a tremendous amount of assets and a lot of opportunity. One of the new things that's coming on this line, we talk about some interesting new things coming up this year. If people are familiar with the term barn quilts, if you're not familiar, as I wasn't not that long ago, so we joked about them, and there's a county, Adams County. So we are Ashtabula County Convention and Visitors Bureau. We have a sister organization in Adams County, the Adams County Convention and Visitors Bureau, and they had redone some of their branding work, and theirs was a patchwork of history, and it was all around these barn quilts. So I'd heard the term, and I had a vague understanding of what it was. And then 2 ladies walked to my office, Chris Angerman, who lives here in Conneaut, and Kathy McCarthy, that lives in Ashtabula. And they walk in my office and say, Mark, we're going to do this barn quilt trail. And okay, ladies, have at it, whatever. And
whatever.
And, really, we hear lots of ideas, lots of projects. And I will tell you that I have, in my almost 13 years at the Bureau, I'll be starting my 13th year in May, I have never seen 2 people have an idea and have a passion for that idea and move it so quickly into market. So they came to us last year, and I said, listen, if you can get a few of these things up in the landscape, we'll promote them. Well, lo and behold, 6 months later, they had 43 of them up on the landscape. So they formed a steering committee made up of a lot of representatives around the community. And the steering committee is driving this quality, authentic experience based around these barn quilts. So our county visitors guide, these are our new guides this year. We bring these out every year, print 100,000 of them. And then the inside of the guide, when you open it up, there's a tear out map. So you rip out the inside, and this map has always featured the cover bridges and the wineries. Well, new this year are the barn quilts. So on the cover of this map, it shows a picture of one of our barn quilts. On the inside, each one of the quilts has a number and a description, and then down the side it tells you a little bit about it. So each one of these patterns is unique.
And I'm number 16.
And I will tell you,
our
yes,
center is number 16 on the barn quilt tour.
Absolutely. And that's what makes it so unique. As we talked about these barn quilts, they have a story, they have a meaning. I believe yours is called beach glass.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Because it faces the beach.
Absolutely. So each one of these, it's not just the paint, it's not just the canvas, or in this case the barn material or the wood, but really it's the story. It's the authenticity of that story. It's important for people to connect with a product. So as we talk about a century farm in Dorset Township, and the family that's lived there, whether they raised cattle, whether they raised crops, and really telling that story. And these quilts are powerful vehicles that tell stories. So this is a very interesting medium. I think it provides some of this cultural outlet for our rural communities, and really brings the community together. So we're excited to be part of it. And I said, without Chris and Kathy, and this wouldn't exist. So those ladies have really done a great job of this, and we're excited to promote it this year.
Well, the barn quilts actually bring the country in and the city out, because at the County Arts Center we have a barn quilt on ours, and a barn quilt is not cloth. So for those of you that don't know what a barn quilt is, it is a quilt pattern painted on a 4x4, 8x8, whatever board, and then the board is mounted on the side of a barn or on a large side of a building or something like that. And you actually get to choose the pattern and the colors that represent you or your barn or your area, where ours is the color of beach glass, so therefore it got its name. Some of the barns, Rambling Rose Alpaca Farm has a rose in the center because it's Rambling Rose Alpaca Farm. And so Glenda, you get to have a say in what features are on your barn quilt. They're really beautiful. And you can learn how to make them at the County Arts Center. Because Chris Engelman teaches the technique of how to make a barn quilt. And you come and take a class. You make I think it's a 2x2 foot piece. It's really all about drafting, and quilting is really about drafting. To be a good quilter, you have to have some math skills. And so doing this really takes that geometry that you thought you would never use and puts it in use, and you learn how to make it, the process, how to seal them, how to paint, what kind of paints to use, all that. And then if you choose to do one, it has to be approved by the committee to be on the tour. So it's not like you could go do one and call up and say, okay, I want to be number 49 on the barn quilt tour. There's a process. You have to fill out an application. They come and look at it, they talk to you, and they actually suggest you talk to them first before you go through all the work, because they don't want, for example, 1 million people to do the same quilt pattern. They want to make sure that it's varied, so that when people go on this tour, they get to see a lot of different things.
And what's neat is, you mentioned Chris does a great job of teaching the class.
She does.
Now, I have not a single artistic bone in my body, and I joke with Penny about this constantly. I can sell very well, but I'm not very good at being artistic. I can't carry a tune in a bucket with a lid. Literally, I don't possess any of those skills. So there's actually a gentleman, Jeff Scriber, that's working with the community as well. If there's someone that wants a barn quilt and can't do one for themselves, he's building the blank frames as well as doing painting. So really the opportunity, if you've got some woodworking skills, you want to build your own frame, you can. If not, Jeff can build it. If you want to paint them, you can. If you can't, Jeff can help with that. So the committee really is. They're dedicated to making sure the community is comfortable with what's going up and how it's working. So that's going to be a cool product for us. This is we talk about the cover bridges, and Lake Erie is here all year long, and today it looks beautiful. I mean, the ice pack, the way the lake looks in the winter is uniquely different. Very clearly, the tundra. But realistically, we talk about these quilts, we talk about our cover bridges. They're a year-round attraction. The vibrancy of the colors, really provide us. I think they'd be beautiful for a spring driving tour. The flowers are coming up for spring flowers, the barn quilts. So looking at how we position this product, like the Cover Bridge Festival, we think of that as a fall event, but realistically, those bridges are here all year. So how do we create a year-round attraction? And we think these quilts would be a good opportunity for that.
And in between going from one covered bridge to another, you can take this tour to see the barn quilts on your tour through there. And really, it doesn't have to be fall, because in the spring, when all the wild daffodils are in the fields and the crocuses come up along the roads, it's beautiful.
Absolutely.
You get your flowering trees out there. So really, and then in the summertime, you know, you take a ride down a road, and how beautiful is it to take a picnic lunch and sit along a covered bridge and have lunch, and then take a little walk or ride around to see the covered, or to see the barn quilts. So
Absolutely.
yeah, there's a lot to do. Now, changing the subject
Sure,
abruptly, let's talk about wineries.
Oh, all right.
Because there's so many new wineries coming along here in Ashtabula County.
Absolutely.
Where there used to be go to this, and this. Now there's this, and oh, this is a new one, and this one's doing this, and each one has its own unique spin,
Absolutely.
which is incredible.
And that's what's important. You know, we talk about the wine industry, and we get this question often. You know, as you mentioned, obviously, Arnie planted vines in the late 60s,
Yeah.
and those were the first vinifers that we really saw in this area. So we saw some hybrids come online, and really the transition from our native Nebraska varieties into our hybrids and vinifers was a slow transition. But once it happened very swiftly. And now we have a lot of vines in the ground. Obviously, last year was a unique challenge, I think, for the growers. This year, obviously, the last couple of weeks has, again, been a unique challenge for them.
Yeah, we're all worried.
Absolutely. But really, it's the authenticity of experience. We talked about that a little bit with the quilts, but if I walk into Marco Vineyards, that experience that I have with Arnie and those sheepdog running around is so uniquely different from the exact same experience I would have at Ferrante's. And that experience is so uniquely different from this one I would have at the Old Firehouse Winery. Each one of the wineries has a different experience, and that's what's important. When you have the same experience from one winery to the next, that's when you say we've reached saturation. But as long as each winery is bringing a unique flavor to the table, some of them are doing culinary opportunities, some of them are just wine, some are doing artisan cheese, some are doing live music. And that's what creates the unique part of it. If you look at the Finger Lakes region, or even in the Napa and Sonoma regions, they really are, you belly up to the bar, you take a taste, you like it, you buy a case, you get back in your car and you drive to the next one. Really, they're turning them over every 18 minutes. How quick can we move people through the door? Well, the average stay at an Ohio winery is 3.5 hours.
Yeah.
We extend the stay with food, we extend the stay with music, we extend the stay with ambiance. So really the idea is, if you look at Ohio wineries compared to wineries in different wine growing regions, we want you to come in and we want you to stay for longer periods of time. And really, to that point, I think the more we have, the better. As long as each one brings a different experience. And you're right.
Certainly do.
We're seeing lots and lots of growth. You know, we mentioned obviously the viticultural challenges they're having. Obviously last year's polar vortex created some very, very real damage to the vines and to the actual system that we're growing the grapes. Now this year we're going to lose some fruit, and there's no doubt we're going to have some loss, but hopefully no vine loss. And last year I know obviously taught us a significant lesson, the first time we'd seen that in 100 years, but they did a lot more hilling around the vines, protecting those grafts. So we're hoping for very, very low, less than 5%, if any, vine loss this year. But there will definitely be some fruit loss with this last cold weather.
And isn't it the fact that there is a snow cover a good thing?
Correct.
Where last year that cold hit and there was no snow cover.
It was 43 degrees, and then it went to negative 26 in like 20 hours.
Right,
yeah.
And that was where the damage was. This year we have this blanket of snow that's covering the roots, and believe it or not, that is an insulator.
For the same reason you can sleep overnight in an igloo and survive, it's the snow provides that great blanket. So between the hilling around the grass, the snow, we really hope for very, very minimal vine loss this year.
And let's hope that the cold does it now, and then it just
and then we're done with it.
gets sucked back up north,
Absolutely.
and that's it.
Absolutely.
So when spring comes, but you know, around here you never know.
And while the season's here, it's funny, as Pat was transitioning out and heading back, we talked about this 4 seasons, and that's one of the things that, you know, we as residents, we beat up on typically what we have the most. So again, those people that live in Orlando beat up on Disney all the time. The people that live in Northeast Ohio, we beat up on ourselves a lot. But the people that come to visit us, really there's a unique opportunity with the change of seasons. I say this all the time, but if you live in San Diego and it's 78 and sunny every day, would you really appreciate it? And this time of year, people say, oh yeah, we love it. But realistically, the change of season provides a great opportunity. We're all cold now. I mean, it's been a long winter. But that first day that it hits 50 degrees, I mean, everyone just celebrates it. And there's an opportunity.
32 would be nice.
32 would be nice. But really, this time of year, there's huge opportunities. We have snowmobiling opportunities, snowshoes, cross-country skis, really just seeing the lake. I mean, the opportunities there. And as the thaw happens and the rivers open up, We have obviously our steelhead industry. Here in Conneaut, I mean, you guys know it better than most places around the country. Steelheading industry is a unique opportunity. The Conneaut Creek provides a world-class opportunity to catch steelhead as a migratory bird species starts to move through, obviously, the mud flats and the improvements the Port Authority's made out there. We've got a great viewing platform out there. So really, spring brings a lot of opportunity to our community. Summer rolls into our traditional tourism season. You know, it's minivans and moms and beaches, and that's kind of our typical tourism season. Fall brings us the harvest and the leaves, and then back into winter again. So really the change of seasons is very important for our economy, very important for our tourism, and really it's part of that quality of life we talk about all the time here.
It is, and I think for a lot of us that live around here, your body almost waits for the change. You know, at the end of August, let's face it, we're all waiting for fall. You are. You've had summer, everything's, you know, winding down, and even the leaves on the trees are tired. They've done their thing. And, you know, we wait for fall to come in, and then, you know, fall's going along, and wow, boom, we're right there at Thanksgiving and Christmas, and we're waiting. And it is so beautiful around here in Christmas. Let's take this call.
All right.
Good morning, you're on the air.
Good morning, Penny. Good morning, Mark.
Good morning.
This is Tom Smile. I've worked with you on the sign committee before.
Absolutely. Nice to hear from you.
Every time I talk to this guy and I listen to him, he just re-energizes me about tourism.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
You are the man, Mark. you are. If anybody was fit for a job, that's the job for you, my friend.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
And I just wanted to say one more thing that maybe you forgot to hit on. Now that we passed this tax levy for the Metro Park system, that's going to be one more added thing to the tourism industry in this area, because now it enhances our wildlife, not only our steelhead fishing, but our wildlife like the eagles and turkeys and deer and all that stuff. The advantage most people think about, like Lake County, you know, they have a lot of businesses and so forth, which, you know, we could use a few more here, but the fact that we are a rural county gives us an advantage too.
Well, absolutely right. And you know, we talk about parks, and I will tell you that our biggest challenge in Ashtabula County as far as promoting these has been public access. So while we have a tremendous amount of green space, a lot of it is not publicly accessible. Right. And you're right, the Metro Parks levy is a monumental move in the right direction. You talk about city planners. The most valuable real estate in all of New York City is Central Park. So why did they leave it green? Why wouldn't they put in skyscrapers and sewers and built infrastructure there? Because the city planners knew without green space that economic development couldn't happen. You look at the Emerald Necklace in Cleveland, I mean, their Metro Park system. You talk about Lake County, their Metro Park system. Really, we haven't felt that development pressure in Ashtabula County. In Erie, they see a lot of pressure for parks. Lake County, a lot of pressure for parks. We don't see as much here in Ashtabula County because we haven't had the development pressure. But as that development pressure becomes real and closer to us, that need for public access to green space is infinitely important. And you're right, that allows not just residents, but tourists and other folks to enjoy this. If you can't get to Conneaut Creek, or you can't see those eagles, or you can't go to, you know, you guys have an arboretum here in town. If you can't access those locations, it makes it difficult to enjoy them. So really that public access piece and that Metro Parks levy is that first step in a great direction for us to be able to provide that access to folks.
Exactly, and a lot of people, and I've talked to Pat about this before, and you might not even know about this, my friend. There's a creek in northeastern Ohio here. There's only two in Ohio. It's a cold water stream, and that's Turkey Creek. And I'm hoping that with the Metro Parks tax levy, that access can be provided to that, because that's a unique wonder that most people don't even know about. And I would like to see, and I'll talk to you, maybe I'll talk to you more about this at some other time, is that east side is a great access area because it's undeveloped area that's along the lake shore.
Absolutely.
And that's something that I think should be exploited, just like the Pennsylvania side.
Yeah, cold water creeks are so important for breeding species of native fish. You know, the spawning grounds. And really, I believe, is Pymatuming Creek the other one that has a small native population or a spawning population of trout? Is it Pymatuming Creek the other one in Northeast Ohio? Because I'd heard of the Turkey Creek, but I was unfamiliar with the actual location of it.
Yeah, I've been there many times. I grew up in this area, and I've actually seen northern pike that were in there when I was a kid and so forth. So it's a great little stream. And like I say, with the Metro Parks levy passing and so forth, I've already talked to some of the people on the Metro Parks about it, and convert some stuff back to me. But I would love to see that opened up. And like I say, the Metro Parks is people, it's a new tax levy, but it's not much.
It really, you talk about that and you break down it. Nobody likes to hear taxes. I mean, taxes are tough all around. But honestly, rather than being a cost, it's an investment in our future. I forget what they broke it down. It was $13, $18 a year. I mean, that's a large pizza.
Right.
Can you sacrifice as a family one large pizza a year to provide that access? And I think that's the foresight, again, the vision to do that. Those city planners, when they laid out New York City, knew that Central Park was important. Those planners in Cleveland knew the Emerald Necklace was instrumental, not just important. It was instrumental to have that, and I think as we develop our economy in Ashtabula County, recognizing that green space and conservation has a role in economic development is one of the best things they can do, because they are hand in hand and interconnected.
But that not only goes only with like our wineries, covered bridges. I mean, like I said, they did that study in Conneaut where they said people are looking for these areas that they can relax, just lay back and enjoy the sun and so forth. So, and then we can also get tax money from the state by being able to match that money, because now we'll have the money available to do that. So, I mean, it's a before, and like I say, Mark, you re-energize me, man. I go out and I go tourism crazy.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
So you have a nice day. Stay warm. I hate to say this, Mark. I can't stand this weather. I'm ready for spring. Talk to you later, my friend.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for calling. Yeah, exactly. And when he was saying green spaces, how many people watching have gone to Harper's Field and gone down where the bridge is and just gone into the park there? It's absolutely beautiful. You can sit there and, the water goes over that little waterfall, and it's beautiful. It's beautiful. Take your lunch and well, maybe not today, but when the weather breaks, and just, there's a wonderful ride, just a short ride,
And what makes it even cooler is, the Metro Parks have always been known for Harvest Field and the Greenway Trail.
Yeah.
And what's cool is actually the Metro Parks have about 1,100 acres in Ashtabula County. They have several parcels here in the Conneaut, Monroe area. So what makes it neat and accessible is now that they have the funding to do that, they can provide access. I mean, little locations that a few people knew about now will be open to the public. So we'll have locations all around Ashtabula County. And as that park district grows and they have opportunities, Conneaut and Ashtabula Township Parks, I will tell you, are probably undoubtedly two of the most successful parks districts in our county.
And they're beautiful.
They've done a wonderful job.
Some of the most beautiful parks along the lake.
You look at the leadership at Conneaut Township Park and leadership in Ashtabula Township Park and the infrastructure they've put in. I mean, the little canoe launches, the pavilions, I mean, really just the boardwalks. They've done a great job. So those are important for our community, and really they're examples of how the Metro Parks can do a good job. And again, it's not working in competition with each other, it's working in concert with each other. There's opportunities for our township parks to grow and prosper, opportunities for the county Metro Parks to grow and prosper. And as residents, I think we're the ones that will get the lion's share of the benefit.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, we've got another call.
Okay.
If I get the right button here. Good morning, you're on the air.
Good morning, Penny, and your guest. This is Linda. I go to New York State and to Pennsylvania and stuff, and I have some friends and some relations that love to come up in Ohio to see the bridges and go to the wineries. They ride their motorcycles and that. And so when I go, I always take the literature that I have from the tourism and take it to them and everything. But they really enjoy it. As many wineries as there, like in northeast Pennsylvania and up through there. There's a lot of new ones up there. They said they like to come up to Geneva on the lake, and Harpersville and Madison, and go to all them. So they're known all over the wineries and the covered bridges and everything. So it's wonderful. People got to stop and think how many nice things we've got here too. So.
Absolutely.
Yep. And you're doing a good job. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Linda.
Thank you. You talk about the wine industry. We think, if I want that big, heavy Cabernet Sauvignon, I mean, we're going to look to California because they do that very well. But if you want cool climate varietals and you want to see Rieslings and Gewürztraminers and Chardonnays done in that cool climate, our terroir in northeast Ohio along this Lake Erie belt are phenomenal. So you look at their accredited AVAs, you've got the Grand River Valley and the Lake Erie. But really the Conneaut Creek region, while it's not an AVA by name and by statute, it really is an enormous opportunity along this region to grow grapes. And again, those cool climate varietals. We have a Cabernet Franc that's fantastic here in northeast Ohio. Realistically, does it look like a California Cabernet Franc? No, it's a cool climate, but it's so unique, and in our soil structure, in our cool climate, we force those last warm days in September and October before the harvest. It really provides an awesome opportunity for us to showcase what Ohio can do as an agricultural component. We are not just soybeans and corn, while they are a massive part of our economy and the largest section of our agricultural economy. I once heard this spirited debate between, and it wasn't locally, it was on a regional conference, but there was a university extension agent and this wine grower going back and forth in soybeans and corn. And the wine grower said, yeah, but wine is sexy and soybeans aren't. And it was funny for me because as a marketer, you know, obviously we're looking for that take and that spin. And while the backbone of our economy in the agricultural community is built around soybeans and corn, we talked about Glenda with the alpacas. We've got alpaca farms. We've got apple farmers. We've got these wineries. We've got a lot of opportunity as we look at this whole approach. The local foods movement is starting to happen.
And that brings us into pairings.
Absolutely,
because this is the whole, you know, farm to plate kind of experience that because we have farms right here in our county, because we can bring lamb in right from Ashtabula County or pork in from Ashtabula County. You don't have to import it from somewhere else because we have it right here. That we now you can come to Ohio and have the experience of, you know, your food comes right from the farm in Ohio to that plate. And
Absolutely.
What an education, what an experience to have. And that brings us to pairings.
Absolutely. You talk about local flavor, and that's really it. When I talk about a wine-growing region, we talk about the soil, we talk about the climate. Well, and that's for wine, but that applies to food as well.
Yes.
The carrots that we grow here, the potatoes that we grow here, the lambs that are raised here, the pork that are raised here, those components to our agricultural community are highlighted. The soil provides different foliage that our animals are foraging on. And we really have a very, very unique palate. So, and I use this example, again, if people have heard me talk, I say this all the time, but nobody goes to Maine to visit a Red Lobster. Yeah. When you go to Maine, you want lobster from the dock. You know, I mean, that's absolutely. Really, you want authenticity. If I go to New Orleans, I want Creole food. I want that stick of butter, I mean the size of a football in the middle of my grits. You know, I want that authentic experience. I'm not going to Bob Evans. You know, I want that greasy spoon with a local flavor, and really I think pairings provides an interesting opportunity. So pairings, if you're not familiar, the first phase is complete. They opened on June 20th of this past summer. So phase 1 is done. It's actually going to be about a 4-phase project. But the idea is taking the best that the entire state of Ohio has to offer and bring it to one location. The best wine from around the state, the best food from around the state, all of the things that we can provide from an agricultural palate and move into the consumer base. And it's about education. It is a 501c3, so it's a nonprofit. They're not in direct competition with the wineries or the restaurants.
Right.
The idea is education. As we bring folks to this area, and teaching them why our Cabernet Franc tastes different than the one they had in Sonoma. Right. You know, why our Chardonnay is different from the one that they had in New York. And really it's an educational platform. So the first phase opened up. They're offering classes, everything from painting classes to culinary classes. They're doing couples nights, a really unique venue. So it's pairingsohio.com is the website. But
and it is in Geneva.
It is in Geneva. But really, again, we talk about political boundaries. I will tell you that the only thing that understands a political boundary is the tax collection. Realistically, the waves don't stop when they hit the Pennsylvania-Ohio border. The tourists don't stop when they cross over Ohio and Pennsylvania or Geneva or Conneaut. Those political boundaries are great for defining tax collection. But other than that, it's a free-flow economy. People are moving in and out of these borders, and it's important we find ways to embrace that and utilize it. I mean, Arnie's been out to pairings twice now. And again, showcasing his wine because we're bringing folks to experience all of Ohio, and Arnie's an important piece of that story.
Yeah, and I just want to say that I had an experience there and got to taste some wines that I probably would never have even thought paired with food, which was just so nice because a wine that I wouldn't sit and drink, you know, like, okay, let's get a bottle of wine.
I know specifically I want a Cabernet Franc from Valley Vineyards. Well, you just walk in a store.
But when you sit down and have it with something, it changes that wine. And it sounds silly, but it was fun. It was just fun, and you learn when you don't even think you are. I mean, you walk away and go, "Wow, I would have never ordered that wine," and it just, I don't know. It's a fun thing to do. You're learning when you don't even know you are, and you're not just going to get Ashtabula County wines. You're going to sit there because they are representing Ohio wine, and you know maybe the wine that you want with this is from Southern Ohio, and it's on the shelf, but you would never pick it up because you didn't know about that wine. It's really a fun thing to do.
You're right. They're featuring wines from all around the state of Ohio, the different wine growing regions, and bringing them in. And what makes education cool, we talk about it all the time. I was not the
when
best.
you don't know you're learning, it's more fun.
That's the key. I was not the best student, and I can be have any teachers watching. I was not the best student in the world, but everybody wants to learn. And we talk about, well, that wine had some oak in it. Well, it didn't have a chunk of oak in it. What does that mean?
Yeah.
Oh, well, that tastes like leather. Well, the last time I chewed on a shoe, it wasn't fantastic. So what do you mean it tastes like leather?
Or
it tastes
peach
like
undertones. How do you get a peach in a bottle of wine?
I'm tasting bootstrap and molasses. Well, I'm not sure that's what I want in my beverage, but the education, why are you tasting that, and what do those tones feel? So the sensory component tastings they offer there are fantastic. And again, breaking down those barriers. If I walk into a restaurant, I can order a beer and I'm never judged. But if I order, well, I would like a peanut gris. Well, no, that's Pinot Gris. You pronounce it wrong, and they hand you a cork. And what do I smell it? Unfortunately, wine can be an intimidating beverage. So the idea is, as we educate consumers more, they will order more wine. We need to show them what that is, and that's where pairings plays a role in this the solution.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Mark, as we wrap up a little bit here, what do you see as the biggest drive to tourism in this year, coming in 2015?
Well, I will tell you that we're going to have our mainstays. We're going to have our lake. We're going to have our cover bridges. I'm really excited about this opportunity here with the barn quilts. But really, I think what we have and an opportunity we have is to build on what currently exists here. We have an incredible base of people that have come here for 3 or 4 generations. The tourism community in 2013 generated $418 million. That's just shy of $500 million in Ashtabula County. So we're already building this base, and that old saying that as you make the base of the pyramid wider, you can get taller. So really the base is here, and I think that's been a good stable foundation for us. But really, events are one of those driving forces. The community here in Conneaut knows better than most what an event can do. You look at your D-Day event, and it has revolutionized and transitioned. And we used to talk at a county level about the Cover Ridge Festival and the Grape Jamboree being the 2 big festivals. You throw in the mix wine and walleye, the Pymatuming Valley Festival, and really this monumental event that's happening here in Conneaut with the D-Day Festival and the D-Day event. Really it started off obviously as with grandiose plans, but you've come through on that. I mean, you've delivered, and this community's embraced it. I mean, we talk about the different clubs and different groups that have helped out. They're selling bottles of water, they're parking cars. People are dressing up. It looks like France. You take the pictures. All the street signs have been changed over.
And how many has embraced it. And how many people in Conneaut? Again, this is the same thing as when it's in your backyard. You just don't notice it. How many people in Conneaut actually have been to D-Day? A lot of people have said, "Oh, it's there every year." And if you haven't been there in 10 years or 5 years, it's totally different.
Well, and so I say this all the time, and you do name associations. And Ashtabula County is tough because we really don't have a lot of things we associate. But if I say Aspen, people almost immediately think about skiing.
Right.
I say Nashville, and they think country music. When people are starting to, and nationally, not just locally, not just regionally, but nationally, when people are saying Conneaut, oh, that's D-Day. There's the media that's been covering it, and while the wine industry's been growing, Northeast Ohio, they're doing some good wines up there. Conneaut is becoming synonymous with that event, and it really, on a national landscape, you're going to see that continue to grow, and this will continue to be the home and the remembrance point of that event. So really, that's an iconic piece. But as we grow the community, we grow the tourism opportunities, I think all the things we're currently doing, paired with some new stuff. We've got pairings coming online, the barn quilts. I really think that this coming year, we're going to see a lot more growth. Obviously, last year in June, we had a lot of rain. We had a lot of snow last year. So there's always anomalies in weather. You can't control those. But for the most part, Ashtabula County is well positioned to take full advantage of it. We've got I-90 that splits through the middle of us, so we see 35,000 people a day are driving past us. Spire is come online, and they're this weekend's the Atlantic 10. Next weekend is the Big 10 track and field. So we've got athletes from all over the country coming here. So our office has a booth set up, not necessarily for today, but when those parents come and they say, listen, our kids are here competing, we're here for 3 days, what's there to do? Well, we looked at this, we can't do it this time, but maybe we'll come back in July. So they're a captive audience. So I think that's going to draw a few more folks that maybe would not have seen us otherwise. But just excited to be part of it. Tourism is a great part of our economy, guys, and as we talk about it, what we sell as a tourism experience to these folks coming in, you and I enjoy as quality of life elements. These truly are the things that make this place an amazing place to be, an amazing place to live.
Yep, absolutely. Well, thank you, Mark.
Truly my pleasure.
We'll have Mark on more often because I think as the season moves along, there's going to be a lot more things to announce. There's going to be a lot more things going on, and you want to take advantage of it. You don't have to drive 100 miles or 200 miles or 3,000 miles to have certain experiences. They are right here. And with all this energy that Mark has, how can you not get on board? So thank you, Mark.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it, Penny.